In the last video, I showed you how to start adding your facial features to your character. Unfortunately, the hippo that I was working on, here he is currently. So what happened was after I made all my details and I slip and scored everything together, unfortunately, I left it out. I forgot to put it away. So when I came back like 2 days later, he was all dry. And unfortunately, because this is not clay that has to be fired, once this clay got to this consistency, like bone dry, there's not much that I could do. I wouldn't be able to add details and anything for him. So since it wasn't finished, I had to and also I think the ear broke off. So because of that, he is now no more. He broke. And so what I ended up doing was I made myself another hippo. So this is my hippo sculpture too. Okay. This one is still workable. Okay, I still have to smooth some things out, but I think that he looks a little bit more completed at this point. His nose is a little bit more defined. His nostrils looking pretty good. I got him some, his mouth has some teeth in it even. Okay, his ears are a little bit more hippo-like. Okay, so from my first version to my second version, he's already looking a little bit more detailed. Okay, and since this video is for my 6th graders, one thing I always like to say is if this is your first time making a character out of clay, if this was my first version and this was the only version that I was going to make, if I had put him away and was able to continue working on him, this version would have been fine. However, since it broke, I was able to make a second one of the same thing. And then I learned how to make shapes and things with my first version, so my second version is a little bit better. So as a 6th grader, you're doing your best to try to manipulate and work with the clay for your first time, so just be okay with however your character turns out. We're just looking for a completed idea. Okay, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start to make clothing for my character. So I have my sketch of what I want my clothing to be. He's going to be a doctor. I think that I also decided now, since I have him here, he kind of looks a little evil looking. So I'm going to make my hippo an evil doctor, because he kind of looks a little scary with his teeth too. So I'm going to make him evil. So we got to get him a doctor's coat, like a lab coat on. So for adding detail like clothing onto our clay, one thing we want to focus on is not adding too much weight to our character. If we can make it look like clothing is there without adding too much extra weight, that's really going to be what we're thinking of. So I'm going to put my guy over here. And so if I'm looking at my sketch, okay, I'm going to try to make this rim, this collar here, and I'm thinking the shape that I might use is a coil. So I'm going to take some new clay. Okay, move my dead hippo over there. Okay, so I'm going to take a piece of clay, I'm going to roll it out. I'm going to roll this clay out, and now I think I'm going to put it around my character. Put it around here, and maybe if it doesn't reach all the way, that's okay. Okay, maybe I'll leave it like that. Okay, so I'm going to actually slip and score this on here. So I'm going to slip and score. So I'm going to use my tool, and where I want this coil to go, I'm going to add a little bit of texture. Okay. Okay, I'm going to add some texture. So this is my scoring. Okay, and then I'm going to add some slip. Okay. Remember that if you're adding clay to clay, you really need to make sure that you do this step of doing the score and the slip, because if you don't, what ends up happening is those pieces will not be joined together. So I'm also going to add slip right here. I'm going to do score. Okay, I'm roughing up these two sides. Okay, I'm going to add slip. So I'm going to put this coil on my character carefully. Try and follow those lines. Okay. So now what I can do is I'm going to slip those together. Okay. I think actually I'm going to get one of the paintbrushes that we use. Okay. So I give my students a paintbrush that they can use to blend seams. So I'm going to just kind of go in here and go on the inside here and blend that seam a little bit with my paintbrush. Okay. And now I'm also going to do is I'm going to blend this down because I want this coil to look like the collar of a jacket. Okay. So there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rock. And then as it dries, I can add it into my slip cup. Okay. Okay. So now, all of a sudden, my character looks like he has a collar on himself. Look at that. And all I did was added a coil and blended it in. Now, my coil edge here doesn't look that great, but I'm going to go and add a little bit more coil. Get another little piece. Okay. Because maybe I'm also going to make where this jacket comes together. So maybe like this part is going to come down here and that's going to meet it. Okay, so I'm going to slip and score this on. I'm going to blend these two together. And now I want this to kind of go flat a little bit. So kind of smoothing it in because I want this part to look like it's the regular side and then it's going to be a little higher on the other side. So I'm kind of flattening this out, my coil that I just made, a little bit. So I kind of just make it look like the jacket is kind of going over the other side. Okay. A little bit of this piece here. So now I'm going to attach this to here. Okay. You guys have to try and use tools to help you. So I can't like reach in there because my hand is too big. So I have to use some tools that are going to help me to get the clay down and how I want it. So I'm using this pointy wood stylus tool. Then as I get too much clay on it, I'm scraping it off. Okay, because I want this to look like it's going to go underneath that other piece. Okay. Okay, so it's going to go like that. And then I'm probably going to go here like this to make it look like this is going underneath this other piece of the jacket. Okay. Now. Okay. Okay, again, you have to use your tools to kind of help you. If you can't reach in with your fingers, you have to try and make the tools work for you. So right now, that's kind of what I've got. I've got this shape right here, where this is kind of coming down, and this piece is kind of coming over. Okay. So far, all I've been using is my wood stylus to kind of help to get these shapes that I want. I'm using the front side with the pointy part, and I'm using the back side is more flat to move the clay to where I want it. Okay, so I think that that looks like a pretty good jacket, like that. And then it comes around. Okay, and all I did was added a coil and a little coil here. Okay, and now maybe my doctor needs a little pocket. Maybe he has like a little pocket over here. We get a little bit extra clay, and so as far as like a pocket, I could take just like a very flat piece of clay. I'm gonna just mold it into kind of a pocket shape. Okay, let's see how that looks. Let's get a pocket like over here on his jacket, maybe like that. Okay, keep that right there. So I'm gonna again slip and score. So I'm gonna score, add a little slip, and the same thing on the pocket. Okay, remember that you want to slip and score any clay to clay, because if you don't, it will not stay attached. Okay, and I'm not going to be hanging on to all these tiny pieces of clay that fall off of people's characters when I'm bringing it to the kiln. So you need to make sure that you're attaching your stuff correctly so that it stays on. Okay, so again, take my tool. Okay, I'm going to attach, rocking to attach my pieces together. Okay. So we want to attach our pieces together, but then if you want to add definition to make it look like there's an edge, you can use one of our other little tools. We have like these little shaper tools. So I can use the shaper tool to give yourself a nice crisp edge if that's what you're looking for. So I want a nice crisp edge where these two meet, but I want it to be attached properly. So I got to attach it, smooth it out first before I can go and start adding detail like that. Okay, and maybe this pocket I can see into it. So maybe I'm going to take a little so maybe the pocket is open a little. So I'm just taking my tool, just digging out a little bit of that pocket that I just attached. So now look at that. Now we got a little pocket that even has like a little space in it. Okay, this pocket, and then maybe I'm going to carve in, and maybe I'm going to just write here. Maybe my character has a name tag on his coat. So maybe he's got a name tag on his coat. If he does, then maybe get all these little crumbs off. I'm just taking my little tools here. I'm just pushing aside that clay. Trying to remove some of it if I can. Okay, I want to make it nice and flat. Here we go. Okay, so I made like a little square here. Then maybe later I'll be able to paint it and paint that it's a doctor. So I'll write like Dr. Hippo something. Okay, like on his little name tag right here. So I have a nice little spot right there for his name tag. Okay. So that's it. It looks like he's wearing clothes. So he's got like his jacket. His jacket has like a little pocket. Okay. I can go around and like I said, I could use my paintbrush maybe with like a little slip and kind of clean up some of my edges. You know, areas that maybe are too hard for me to reach. I'm just going to use like a little bit of liquid to kind of blend things, help me out. Okay, making sure that everything's nice and together. Okay, you don't want to go crazy with adding slip as far as like smoothing things out, because you don't want your character to get slippery and too wet. So I'm using this kind of in moderation. I'm doing it very in specific areas. Okay, and I won't overdo it. I'm probably going to leave it like this and then come back probably tomorrow and add if I think I need other areas that need to be smoothed out. Okay, but as far as like right now, that's really it as far as like clothing. So like I made my collar, and like you could use the same technique for making like a shirt. You can just make the collar of the shirt. You could make you know, overalls, you know, things like that. So right now that's almost my finished piece. There's a little bit more to just kind of clean up as far as edges, make sure things are not rough that I don't want rough. And that's it. So here's my hippo doctor. And he's got himself a little pocket that maybe I could put stuff in. And then he's got a little thing here that's going to say doctor on it. And that's it. That's my finished product. Okay, so as far as my sketch goes, I have a little bit more detail in my finished design, but I think that I got everything on there. Okay, so that's your finished product.